Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Beatrice. If this is your first time seeing my channel, thank you so much for stopping by. And to my returning subscribers, I love you all. Thank you for sticking with me. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to go about this cutting, stitching of this beautiful side gather dress. If this is what you're interested in, keep on watching. And as for the scrunchie headband on my head, if you want to see a tutorial on that, I'm going to leave a link in the description box, so you click on that link and watch it. Without much ado, let's get right started into this video. Here are the materials we're going to be using to make this beautiful dress. I got this doll face fabric, 2 yards, but I discovered it wasn't enough. I got the second doll face fabric, making it 3 yards. I also got my lining fabric. I didn't get the exact color, but it was something close to that. I have my measuring tape, my curve rule, my scissors, my marker, my pencil, my eraser, my tailor's chalk, my ruler, and my... To start this pattern drafting, I'm going to mark out my vertical lines. I marked out my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10, shoulder to my under bust, which is 13, shoulder to my waist, which is 16, shoulder to my hip, which is 26, and shoulder to the full dress length, which is 36. And you're going to draw straight lines across. So I'm going to divide my shoulder measurement into two, and then I'm going to mark it out. So my shoulder to shoulder measurement is 15.5. 15.5 divided by 2 is 7.8, and I'll mark it. And then I'm going to come inward by half of an inch, because this is a sleeveless dress. I wouldn't want it gaping around the armhole area. So that is why I came inward by half of an inch. Then I'm going to mark it out. And then I'm also going to mark the shoulder line downward somewhere around the chest line, and I'm also going to go inward by half of an inch, which is our new shoulder line. So I'm going to divide my armhole round by 2, which is 8, or your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches allowance. So I'm going to mark it and mark it across to the other side as well. So we've marked out our armhole measurement, and I will extend my armhole measurement to the other side and rule out a straight line. So I'm leveling my chest line, and I'm going to draw a line across. Then I'm going to come down from my shoulder line and by a half inch as my shoulder slope, and my neck width is 4.5 inches. I'm also going to mark it downward. Yeah, I'm going to mark the 4.5 inches width downward. I initially wanted to use 5 inch, but I didn't want it to be too wide. So I'm not going to add stitching allowance to the fabric when cutting, so it would fall back to 5 inch. So I'm going to go up from my chest line by 1 inch as my neck depth. If you want your cleavage to show, you can leave the neckline depth at the chest line or the bust line. So I'm going to connect the lines like so. Yeah, so I'm going to now get the midpoint of my armhole. Yeah, my armhole from my shoulder slope line. I'll get the midpoint and mark it out. Yeah, I'll mark it out like so. Then I'm going to come inward by half of an inch to avoid gaping around my armhole area. Connect the lines like so. Then I'm going to connect my shoulder line to my neckline. Then I'm going to divide my bust measurement into 4, and then I'm going to mark it out like so. So I'm going to get my curve rule. From that center point at the armhole, I'll connect it to my bust line. Yeah, so I'm going to curve it. So I'm going to mark out my nipple to nipple measurement from my neckline, my bust line, my under bust line, my waistline, my hip line, all the way to the dress length. Yeah, so I'm going to mark out my nipple to nipple measurement. So when I'm done, I'm going to connect my lines all the way to the top. After drawing out my dart line from my underbust line, come out by half inch on both sides, then come down from your bust line by 0.75 inch. For my over bust tightening, I'm going to go out by half inch on both sides. Then I'm going to connect the half inch on both sides, that's 0.75 inch. Then I'm also going to use my curved rule to connect from the 0.75 inch to my under bust line, like so, using my curved rule. Connect to the other side as well. So we've done our under bust tightening right now. So the darts from your neckline, you're going to replace it on your chest line. Yeah, replace that dart like so. So from the dart from the under bust, you're going to connect a straight line to the hem of the dress on both sides. So now divide your waist measurement into four, mark it out, replace the dart at the waistline. Now you're going to divide your hip measurement by 4, mark it out, replace that dart like so, and then whatsoever you get at the hip line, replicate it at the hem line. Take your straight rule or your curve rule, connect from your chest line to your waistline and then to your hip line. Connect those points and also to your hem line. So I'm not going to be adding stitching allowance on this pattern because that pattern wasn't enough for me to add my stitching allowance at the hip area. So we're going to add the stitching allowance on the fabric when cutting. I'm going to cut it out from the sides like so. After cutting, I place the front part on top of another pattern paper, which is the back part, and the only difference is the zipper allowance, which is 1.5 inches wide. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out right now. After cutting, use your front pattern to mark out um, from the beginning of your shoulder slope. You get. So I'm going to be using a dart for this back part of the dress. So I'm marking out my nipple to nipple measurement, but first of all I'm going to extend my chest line. Yeah, I'm also going to mark out my nipple to nipple measurements on my chest line, my under bust line, my waistline, my hip line, and to my head of the dress, and roll out a straight line. After drawing out my nipple to nipple line, so from my waistline I'm going to mark out half inch on both sides. I'm going to connect it, those dart lines, to the chest line like so. Connect it like so on both sides. So I'm going to go up from my hip line by 3 inches. I'll mark it out right there. Then I'm going to connect the dart line to that 3 inch. So have it in mind that we don't need to replace the dart at the back by the sides because we've already replaced the dart in front. So that covers for the back as well. So you're just going to connect these darts to that chest line. If you want, you can even go up more than the chest line. So the depth of my neckline, I'm going to be using either 10. I ended up using 9.5. If you want yours to be 15, that's open, you can go down by 15, but I don't want mine to be open. So I marked out 9.5 inches as my neck depth, and I'm going to connect a straight line to that point, yeah, to that zipper allowance line. So I'm going to use my free hand to kind of like make a curve behind that straight line like so. So around the zipper allowance side, I'm going to make a straight line. Then I'm going to cut it out. After cutting out the back, I'm going to cut out the dart in front like so, and also the neckline area. After cutting out the dart, take your center front, overlap it like so around the under bust area. Just watch what I'm doing. And then you're going to tape it down. Make sure that it doesn't overlap from the under bust to the hem of the dress. So just bring it closely together and tape it down like so. So we're going to be working on the curved area part of the dress. So from my waistline, I came down by 2 inches. So at the hem of my dress, from the center front, I'm going to go inward by 3 inches. So I'm going to use my marker to connect it. But later on, I went up by 1.5 inch because that's how high I want it to be. So I'm going to now use my marker to make a curve all the way to that 3 inches I came in from the center front. When you're done tracing out your curve, just cut this out carefully. After cutting out the front curved parts, bring your back bodies and place it on top from the hem of the dress around that hip area side. So you're just going to place this on top like so, and then you're going to cut it out. After cutting out the curve for the back, I'm going to place it aside. So we're going to be doing slashing and spreading right now. So I'm going to space it by 1.5 inches at the hemline. So I'm going to now use my straight rule to connect it all the way to the top, like so. After ruling out my lines, I'm going to label it 1 to 4 like so, and then I'm going to cut this out. So we are going to use this slash pattern and spread out on the fabric. So I'm just relabeling my numbers like so. So I'm going to take my back part. I don't want to stitch this dart on my dress. So I'm going to fold it from the waist area like so and just try to cut it. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm trying to cut out the dart legs because I'm going to use my masking tape to still tape this down. After cutting out the dart legs, try to bring the waist area closer together like so. Make sure it doesn't overlap, and then you're going to use your masking tape to tape that area down carefully. So we've gotten rid of our back darts. After taping this down, it's going to look rumpled. Just use your masking tape or something to hold it down when cutting out on the fabric. So I want to cut out my back part. So I place my pattern on my fabric. Yeah. So remember we didn't add stitching allowance on the pattern. So you're going to add stitching allowance on your chest area, your waist area, and then at that curved area you're going to add half inches stitching allowance. Then at the hem of your dress, you're going to add 1 inches for your hemming allowance at the hem of the dress. Yeah, so you're going to do that and cut it out and add the stitching allowance on the other patterns like so, and then you're going to cut it out. On the center front, add half inch around your neckline and also half inch by the sides, and also add 1 inch stitching allowance at the hem of the dress, and then you're going to cut it out. So I'm cutting out the side front. Don't forget to add your stitching allowance by the side and also the curved area. So I spread out my slash patterns on my fabric, and around the hip area I added 1 inch stitching allowance because I didn't add it to my pattern when cutting it out, and I spread out my pattern by 4.2 inches across like so, and then at the top area I added half inch stitching allowance to connect to the curve, and then I added 1 inch for my hemming allowance. Mind you, my fabric is on fold, and make sure you place the slashed hip area at the curved at the folded part, and then you're going to cut out two pieces of it. So these are the pieces we cut out. I have the center front. I cut out my lining as well. I have my side front. I also cut out my lining. Just place your cutout patterns on your fabric on top of your lining and cut it out the same way. Yeah, so I also cut out for the back parts as well. So this, you're also going to cut lining for these back parts as well. Yeah, so we are going to take out our pins and start joining out these cut out pieces of the dress. So you're going to open the center front like so, take the side piece, place it on top like the darts around the dart part area to align from the neckline, place the other side as well, yeah, and stitch it by half of an inch. You're going to do this same process for the lining part like so. Just stitch it by half of an inch. Do the same thing for the lining as well. So you're going to take the back part, open it up like so, and then you take your lining, place it on top like so, on top of the right side of the fabric. You're going to stitch your neckline, you stitch your zipper allowance line all the way down. Yeah, you're going to stitch it, and you're also going to stitch your armhole by quarter of an inch. You're going to leave that shoulder line, stitch the sides, leave the curved parts open because we're going to be top stitching on it. At the end of the day, we are going to weave this on our weaving machine to secure the edges and prevent it from fraying. Repeat the same process for the other side of the back as illustrated. I've stitched the side front to the center front of both the lining and the main fabric. So you're going to notch out those stitched parts, most especially the bustier area. So you're going to take your lining right sides facing each other, place it on top of your fabric. You're going to stitch by quarter of an inch around the neckline area like so, and then you're also going to stitch your armhole, your sides, and then leave the curved parts area open. So I've stitched the lining on the two both back sides. So all these stitched areas, you're going to notch it out properly. You get, just notch it out very well. You're going to leave that curved part area open because you're going to be top stitching on it before attaching it to that side gathers. So I cut out two side ropes. The ropes we're going to be using to attach around the waist area, and then the measurement of this rope is 4 inches wide and 38 inches long. Sorry guys, I would have illustrated this to you guys earlier. Before attaching your lining to the main fabric, you have to iron out your inseams. Take your tailor's ham, place it on top, but first of all notch your under bust area around that bustier part. Open the inseams, use your hot pressing iron to press it in between like so around the bustier area. Just iron it carefully like so. You're going to do the same thing at the other side and also on your lining before placing it right sides facing each other and stitching it down. For the back part, notch out the stitch edges and turn it inside out. After turning it out, use your pressing iron to iron it properly. After ironing your inseams from the front, place the lining on top of the main fabric and stitch it together and notch it. Fold your ropes into two like so and stitch it by half of an inch all the way to the end. Turn it inside out and use your pressing iron to press it really flat. After stitching my shoulders, this is what it looks like. It came out very neatly. Yeah, so I also ironed out my zipper allowance area, and I also stop stitched around the curved part area by a quarter of an inch to hold it down. So let's shape our dress. After stitching the lining to the main fabric, I flipped it inside out and then I ironed it properly, and this is what it looks like. But I didn't stitch the curved area because I'm going to be top stitching on it, and then when I join the curved part, I'm going to weave that area out. So this is what I just did right here. After flipping it out for the back, I ironed it as well. So we're going to join the shoulders. I ironed out the rope too after flipping it inside out. So let's join the shoulders. Just take your right sides facing each other, place it on top of the front fabric like so, and then we're going to join the shoulders in this manner. So take your back shoulder from the front shoulder opening, insert it inside like so, and then use your hand through that front opening around the curved area to drag that back shoulder inside out like so. Just carefully do that. When you're done dragging out the back shoulder like so, just try to align them together, including the lining part as well. Take it to your stitching machine and stitch it by half of an inch. Just stitch it by half of an inch like so. Yeah, stitch it by half of an inch, and then you're going to do the same thing for the other side. So the curved part, trim out the excess, top stitch on top, and do the same thing for the other curved areas as well at the back. Top stitch around your hemline as well. Before shaping the dress, you're going to pin the rope to the waist side. Just measure to your waist area, pin the rope like so. Make sure the rope is going inward, like towards the side of the dress. Yeah, so you're going to pin the sides to hold it down while shaping your dress. You're going to also pin your zipper allowance area. Yeah, just pin it down to hold it in place. So we're going to shape this right now. I have pinned down my sides of the dress, so I'm going to divide my bust measurement into two, mark it out. Whatsoever that is remaining there, share the measurement into two, mark it on both sides. Just do the same thing for the waist area and connect your lines. And you take it to your stitching machine and you're going to stitch it out. I'm going to make a detailed tutorial on that. I just don't want this video to be too long. So just do it like so, and we're going to stitch it on the stitching machine, and I'll show you the next thing. You're also going to stitch the zipper allowance area. To stitch the side gathers and to know where to start the pleats and end, just take your pattern paper, measure around that curved part. Mine is 6. Add half inch stitching allowance around that area. So that's what we're going to use to mark out from where the gathers is going to start and stuff. So spread out your dress like so. From the midpoint, that's from the side, measure out 6.5, mark it out, measure to the other side 6.5, mark it out. So from that point to the other side is where you're going to have your gathers. The rest part is going to be a straight stitch. So this is the curved part. So we're going to take out the papers and then we'll notch it and start stitching. Open the side of your dress like so and take the curved part, pin it on top like at the middle area. Make sure your inseams are open. Then when you're done pinning it down, you're going to take this particular part that looks like as if it's curved. So from the hem of your dress, you're going to place it on top like so. Yeah, place it on top. Then you're going to make a straight stitch all the way to that mark point. Then you pleat to the other mark point. Then you continue with the straight stitch to the other side. When you reach the marked point, start pleating all the way to the other marked point and continue with the straight stitch. After stitching the sides of the dress, this is the outcome. You're going to do the same thing for the other side as well. For the hem of the dress, fold it twice like so and stitch it on your stitching machine all the way to the other side like so, and also fix your zipper to the dress. So this is the outcome of our dress. Isn't it beautiful? I've also stitched my zipper at the back and I'm tying my rope right here. If at this point you've watched this video and you've not hit the like and subscribe button, please hit the like and subscribe button. I would really appreciate that. I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye. Thank you for watching.